Hello and welcome to this short PowerPoint that runs through materials and control limits. Firstly, a reminder of the definition of direct material. Direct material are those materials that are used in producing the product, and indirect materials are other materials used within the organisation. We're interested in direct material and the costs associated with that. And you've already seen that is the first item that appears in the cost summary. Most businesses keep a stock or inventory of direct materials since it can act as a buffer in times of high consumption. It means that quantity discounts are generally available for bulk buying. It means they can take advantage of seasonal and price fluctuations. It means they can avoid delays in production due to lack of parts. And it ensures they have sufficient inventory during a lead time, which is the delay between placing an order and the inventory being delivered. Businesses need to ensure that the right quantity of the right quality of the relevant inventory is available at the right time and in the right place. They need to get the inventory level correct. If it's too high, then it can lead to high holding costs. This is the cost of storing the material, rent, rates, staffing the warehouse, heating the warehouse and so on. There's a high cost of capital, which is the cost of investing in the material. There's a danger of the material becoming out of date before it's sold. There is a huge amount of capital tied up in that material, which cannot then be used elsewhere. And it means that if market prices drop, the business can lose out because they cannot afford to buy any more material since their warehouse is already full. If the inventory levels are too low, then the demand cannot always be satisfied. There's a risk of stock outs, which is when there is no inventory to fill orders, and that can result in dissatisfied customers, and a dissatisfied customer will soon go elsewhere. They may have to implement costly emergency procedures in order to get material at very short notice to satisfy customer demand. And they will have to place orders more frequently. And with ordering comes ordering costs, which is the administration costs, communication costs that are incurred every time an order is placed. So what does a business need to do? Well, a business needs to set levels above which the inventory should not rise or fall. So these are control levels. So what do you think a business should consider when they're setting these levels? Just jot down a couple of notes before we go on to the next slide. So, a business needs to think about customer demand, the size of the warehouse, the time it takes for stock to be delivered, how much it costs to place an order, how much it costs to hold items in stock. What we're going to look at now is how a business can go about setting those control levels. The first level they would think about is a reorder level. So when stock and material falls to this level, it's time to place another order. To set a reorder level, a business needs to know maximum usage for the material times the maximum lead time. A business would also set a minimum level. This is the level which stock should not fall below, and it acts as a buffer. To set a minimum level, a business needs to already know its reorder level, and then it's minus the average usage times the average lead time. The maximum level, stock should not go above this level. Now for some businesses, this may simply be the capacity of the warehouse. But other businesses may set it by use of another formulae. And the formulae is the reorder level plus the reorder quantity minus the minimum usage times the minimum lead time. Now the reorder quantity we'll look at shortly. Finally, a business can work out their average inventory, which is the minimum inventory plus half of the reorder quantity. So those are the formulas that we'll use to set the control levels, and these would be used for each item of material that a business holds in stock. So what we'll do now is have a look at an example. So here we have some data that relates just to one item of a raw material. We're given the usage per day, 250 units, minimum lead time, maximum lead time, the cost of ordering the material, carrying costs, which are the holding costs, and the reorder quantity. Now some of this information is not relevant yet, so what we need to do is just pick out what we need for the reorder level, the maximum and the minimum levels. So we need to know usage, we need to know lead time, and we need to know the reorder quantity. So how do we use those figures? The reorder level is the maximum usage times maximum lead time. So the maximum usage, 250 units. Maximum lead time is 30. So our reorder level, 7,500 units. So that's maximum usage times maximum lead time. The minimum level is the reorder level minus the average usage times the average lead time. So we've calculated the reorder level to be 7,500. Average usage, we only have one usage figure, so we have to use that. Average lead time we can work out. We have a minimum and a maximum lead time. So to average those two figures, add them together and divide by 2. So our average lead time, 25. So that gives us 1,250 units as a minimum. And the maximum is the reorder level plus reorder quantity minus minimum usage times minimum lead time. We've got 7,500 reorder quantity minus minimum usage 250 times minimum lead time of 20 gives us 7,570 units. This means that for this business on this particular item of material, they should always have 1,250 units in stock. That's the minimum. When their stock level reaches 7,500, it's time to reorder. And their maximum is 7,570 units, so stock should not exceed that amount. Okay, so here's the second example. Here we have 3 different usages, Average is 1,000, minimum is 800, maximum 1,350. Our order quantity is 9,000 kilos. So stock level is reviewed at the end of each day, and an order is placed the following day if the normal reorder level has been reached. Delivery is expected at the 4th day following order. So we need to use this information to calculate reorder, minimum and maximum. Now with these questions, it's very important to ensure that your time periods are the same. So if your usage is quoted in days, your delivery should be quoted in days. If you are given a usage figure per week, you need a delivery figure per week. So those time periods need to be the same. Here we're fine, our usage is given in days and our delivery is given in days. So the reorder level, maximum usage times maximum lead time. So 1,350 times 4 days. Our minimum level is that reorder level minus the average usage times the average lead time. Now we were only given one lead time, 4 days, so that's what we use for the minimum, the maximum and the average. And finally we have the maximum level, that's our reorder level, 5,400 plus our reorder quantity, 9,000, minus our minimum usage, which was 800, and our minimum lead time, 4 days. So that gives us 11,200. So again, we have our control limits. So far, we've been given the quantity to order. But in actual fact, we can work it out. It's known as the economic order quantity. There is a formula which you need to learn. 2 times CO is the cost of placing an order, times D, which is the annual demand, and that's divided by CH, which is the cost of holding 1 unit in stock for 1 year. And then that is square rooted to give us the economic order quantity. Now, point to remember, D is the annual demand. So if you're given the demand for a week, you must multiply it by the number of weeks in a year. An easy way to remember this is 2 cod and chips. If you look at the formulae, we've got cod at the top and CH chips at the bottom. So square root of 2 cod and chips. Okay, so we've gone through the control limits. We've also looked at the economic order quantity formulae. You'll be putting all of this into practice in the next workshop when we meet again. There is just one other thing that I would like you to have a look at, and that is what's known as just-in-time. Just-in-time is a method of controlling stocks to try and avoid holding high stocks of material. What I'd like you to do is just do a bit of research into just-in-time, how it works, what the advantages are and what the disadvantages are. And then we'll have a discussion about this when we next meet, and we can do a comparison with the just-in-time method to the normal method of holding stock levels. Okay, now all of this has also been covered in the workbook, so if you'd like to have a if you'd like to have a look at the workbook and go through it again, and make sure that you're feeling confident in calculating control levels and you know what the economic order quantity is so that we can put it all into practice. So I'll see you all soon.